SCP-096 is basically the SCP Foundation's ultimate social anxiety monster, a tall, pale humanoid that absolutely loses control if anyone looks. Most of the time. It just sits in its cell like Slender Man's burned-out cousin, ugly, crying in the corner and ignoring everything. The moment someone sees its face, even on a pixelated photo or security footage, it pin drops that person as the target. Distance doesn't matter here. You can be across the planet, deep underwater, or in orbit, and it still finds you. Once that face is seen, it runs fast like a speeding car on an empty highway, reaching you long before you can even react. So the Foundation's main containment plan is not a fancy sci-fi prison. It is basically an extreme no-face reveal policy. They redact every image, purge hard drives, and treat its face like a cursed meme you hope never appears on your feed. On a deeper level, SCP-096 feels like our fear of cameras today, where one unphotoshopped photo online can ruin your energy on that day. Looking at its face is like pressing a big red self-destruct button. Once you see it, your life is over. This creature is not choosing victims for fun. It reacts more like a broken machine that starts killing when someone hits the wrong button. The mix of uncontrollable and kill anyone who looks makes it scary and sad, like clicking a sketchy download link and realizing your laptop is emotional malware. SCP-096 is like the terrible version of being tagged in an ugly photo and wanting to delete it immediately. Once you see its face, you get erased. We always joke that one bad photo can ruin your social life. But with SCP-096, one bad look can actually cost you your life. SCP-610 is a cursed super virus that turns everything it touches into walking meat, then quietly eats whole towns. It starts in a remote Russian village, where houses, streets, and even trees slowly become covered in this thick, living meat. Anyone unlucky enough to touch an infected surface, or hang out too close to the creatures, starts changing in really nasty ways. Their skin swells, stretches, and twists, growing extra lumps and limbs until they barely look like people anymore. After some time, many infected bodies no longer move like normal people and instead work like living construction machines. They crawl around the area, dragging and stacking meat like building blocks to form towers, tunnels, and walls over the old village. The whole place slowly turns into a moving meat city that twitches, pulses, and keeps growing like a horror game running on its own. The SCP Foundation is so scared of this thing spreading that they send drones and cameras, because nobody wants to become part of the meat decor. Burning, bombing, and shooting do not really fix the problem, because only small pieces can keep the infection going. So their whole plan is to block off the area, watch it from far away, and pray it never leaks out. On a deeper level, SCP-610 feels like our worst fears about pandemics and our bodies out of control. It's like a zombie outbreak that doesn't stop at people. It just turns the whole area into one huge creature. SCP-610 reminds us how fragile normal life is, and how fast things get weird when something dangerous spreads faster than information. SCP-106 is a rotting old man who walks through walls and drags people into hell, sounding like a grim reaper but old and rotted. He looks like a dried-up corpse in an old coat, with dark slime dripping off him like oil from a broken car. Anything that slime touches starts to rot. It feels like he has wall hacks and crossfire. SCP-106 likes to wait and stalk instead of running around screaming, which somehow makes him even worse. He watches from inside the walls, learns where people walk, and then shows up when they finally let their guard down. The Foundation first noticed him when whole rooms suddenly looked 50 years older, with rust, rot, and missing people left behind. To contain him, they built a heavy concrete and steel room and trapped him there using an unlucky person as bait. Even with that cell, nobody really feels safe because he has already escaped from it more than once. When he catches someone, he pulls them into his own hidden place, a dark maze where time feels wrong and escape almost never happens. If SCP-106 ever showed up somewhere, the whole place would feel like a horror game level loading in real life. Every crack in the wall would look like his next exit point, and the smartest move would be speed running out before he decides you're part of the map. SCP-2264 is like Doraemon's magic door, but in a horror version. It's a secret door in the Tower of London that leads straight into a cursed fantasy city. You walk through normal stone walls, and you spawn in a Dark Souls map. The place is called Alagadda, And at first, it actually looks kind of cool, twisted palaces, glowing lanterns, and endless masked parties. Everyone wears fancy masks and outfits like a permanent cosplay convention. But the masks never come off and the smiles look wrong. The Foundation teams really went in here looking for it. Their footage shows crowds moving like glitchy NPCs, looping the same dances and laughs. Deep in the city, the hanged king reigns. A king nailed to his throne like a condemned prisoner. If you get close to him, people disappear, go mad, or wake up outside with their brains messed up like a virus-infected save file. The door is hidden under Martin Tower, covered by normal bricks, so tourists walk past it every day without knowing. It does not open like a regular door. You need a special ritual, almost like entering a secret level in a game. The Foundation keeps guards on it, changes staff often so nobody gets addicted to going inside, and records everything that happens there. In the end, SCP-2264 is basically a portal to the worst vacation ever. The city looks cool, but maybe no one returns home. SCP-239 is a tiny girl with god-tier hacks on reality, like giving a second grader full admin rights over the universe. On the surface, she looks normal enough small body. Short hair, hospital gown. But when her eyes glow green and the whole room starts losing gravity and common sense, beds lift off the floor. Lights bend, and objects float around her like she is the center of a low-budget anime power-up. That little girl uses her powers like a real mutant like WandaVision. Whatever she imagines, the surroundings will transform according to her will. If she believes magic is real, things can levitate or change shape. If she thinks someone is dangerous or a monster, a real dangerous monster will appear. The Foundation files treat her as a possible world-ending threat, not out of malice, but because kids change their thoughts every 5 minutes. SCP-239 was discovered after a hospital in Iceland mysteriously exploded just a few hours after she was born. She was the only survivor in the entire building, sitting there completely unharmed in the middle of the wreckage. When the Foundation investigated this miracle baby, they realized the blast came from her reality-bending powers and rushed her into containment. Now SCP-239 lives in a controlled medical room, sedated, surrounded by soft walls, cameras, and way too many backup plans. If superhero movies or fantasy anime suddenly disappear, it is definitely because of this little kid. SCP-7517 is a giant reality machine the Foundation built under Site-28 designed to stop other anomalies from breaking the world too hard. Simply put, this is a large Scranton reality anchor, but not for keeping a boat in one position. On the outside, it looks like a giant metal engine, with thick cables, round rings, and warning lights flashing all around it. The Foundation connected it to the whole base, hoping it would stop space and time from getting twisted by other SCPs. Their plan was simple: turn the machine on, and everything weird around Site-28 would calm down and stay in one place. In a base full of dangerous SCPs, being teleported, lost, or dropped into the wrong room for even 1 second is life-threatening. Because of this, SCP-7517 is considered extremely risky. Even though it was meant to be a helpful tool at first, now the machine is locked behind heavy blast doors, and nobody is allowed to stand near it during operation. It runs at a very low setting, only strong enough to keep the damaged area around Site-28 from getting any worse. If 10 SCP-7517s were running at once, the whole world would basically turn into Demon Slayer's Infinity Castle. Reality would keep sliding around under your feet while everyone panic speedruns for an exit that won't stay put. SCP-682 is basically the Foundation's final boss rage monster. A giant semi-reptile that refuses to die and hates everything alive. It looks like a massive, half-rotten reptile with bone showing, thick armor plates, and eyes that stare like you personally ruined its life. Anything that hurts it is just practice, because it heals, adapts, and comes back stronger, like a Dark Souls boss learning your patterns. The worst part is, SCP-682 is not just strong, it is also one of the smartest SCPs the Foundation has ever met. It understands speech, talks back, and studies staff like a top student who secretly hates the entire class. It remembers every trap, every weapon, and treats each new test like homework for how to escape and kill everyone 101. The Foundation first found it thrashing in a pool of acid, half melted and still trying to kill anything that moved. They hauled it into a special tank full of stronger acid, wrapped it in reinforced walls, and added more security than a pop star on tour. Even there, It keeps pushing the tank, staring at cameras, and waiting for one tiny mistake. Over the years, they have tried explosions, lasers, other SCPs, and wild science stuff that sounds like comic book crossovers. Most attempts barely slow it down, and it adapts fast. Like a gamer who dies once and then never falls for the same trick again. For normal people, SCP-682 is a walking extinction event. If it ever got loose for real, it would hunt anything that breathes. Online, fans know it as the unkillable lizard, the one monster the Foundation just cannot delete no matter what button they press. Keeping it contained means endless acid, heavy armor, emergency teams, and staff whose full-time job is babysitting one furious genius reptile. If SCP-682 were your pet, it would not eat your food. It would eat your neighborhood and then keep going. SCP-001 Yoshihide's Proposal. SCP-001. In Yoshihide's proposal, is hell unlocked in real life and Overseer's burning corpse turning Site-01 into endless fire. The core of it is O53's body, hanging in his office at Foundation HQ, completely covered in flames that never go out. The fire spreads through walls and hallways, and anything it touches keeps burning forever, even after it rots away. It gets worse with living people. Anyone caught in this fire cannot die. Their body burns, melts, and still stays alive in constant pain. They see looping visions of different hells, like being stuck in an infinite horror playlist where the algorithm only recommends your worst nightmares. The only way to stop their suffering is killing them by some other method, which is as dark as it sounds. The Foundation discovers this right after O53's suicide, when his office suddenly lights up and starts eating the administrative wing. Fire teams rush in with hoses and gear, and all they manage to do is spread the flames further and get themselves stuck burning. Now that whole section, including an infirmary full of screaming voices, is basically a no-go zone the Foundation can only watch from outside. So Yoshihide's SCP-001 is not a giant monster or angel in the sky. It is your own workplace turned into permanent hell. If you ever thought your office job felt like torture, at least it does not literally set you on fire and keep you clocked in forever. SCP-001 plagues proposal as basically a giant bad luck rule for the SCP Foundation, like the universe trolling them on purpose. It is not a monster or a big angel in the sky. It works more like hidden settings turned on in real life. Whenever the Foundation thinks they finally have perfect containment, this thing makes one tiny detail fail at the worst possible time. A door sensor glitches, a keycard drops in the hallway, the power flickers once. And that is exactly when an SCP walks out. One person mentions a normal festival turning deadly because one anomaly slipped through while cameras lagged for just a second. Director Log looks at dozens of bad luck stories like this and realizes the odds are way too low to be random. Compared to Yoshihide's SCP-001, where the office is already hell on fire, Plague's version is the slow, annoying road that leads there. It turns the whole Foundation into a group project where reality itself is the lazy teammate messing things up. In the end, this SCP-001 is the idea that no matter how smart humans get, something in the background keeps hitting hard mode. SCP-3812 is basically the final boss of Uncontainable Anomalies, a former human that keeps rewriting reality from the outside. It started as a normal man named Sam Howell, who died, then somehow respawned as a reality-bending, universe-breaking entity. SCP-3812 does not just move objects or change the weather. It can edit the rules that decide what is even possible. Imagine a movie character suddenly realizing they are in a film and seizing the script and rewriting every single scene. The Foundation tries to contain it with locked files, reality anchors, censorship systems, and math tricks. But 3812 deletes those attempts. Sometimes the document about it changes itself. Paragraphs vanish or are rewritten. Like 3812 is live editing its own wiki page from outside. That is what makes it terrifying. If it grows more unstable, it could delete timelines, universes, and even entire multiverses. Compared to other monsters, SCP-3812 is the one thing nobody can leash. It just walks past every rule and lock. Even the SCP Foundation and the GOC treat it like a bug in reality's code, not something you keep in a cage. For MC and D, it would be the top uncontainable SCP and ultimate luxury item worth $1 million.